Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to do the Springbank 19-year-old fresh sherry. Dustin comes in at 53.7% ABV, distilled May of 1996. I was at OU. Bottled in July of 2015. I was selling advertising. Fresh sherry, 120 bottles made. Man, is this thing dark.
Yeah. You know, one thing you got to think about there, Mike. 120 bottles.
Mm-hmm.
What cask only yields 120 bottles?
A small one?
Or did they only release 120 even bottles and they decided to use that whiskey for something else?
You always have this conspiracy theory every time we do a Springbank, Dustin. You think to yourself, Springbank's holding back these whiskeys, yada, yada, yada.
I think there's magic going on, man. I think they're using it for something.
I think they are bottling a lot of these for the locals and for the people that work at the distillery. Is that what you're going with?
No, I think they're holding it back for other bottlings in the future. Maybe.
That could be the case. I tell you what, my friend,
Or they're using it in blends.
This is about as dark as that 18-year-old we did here recently. Not quite as dark, but it's dark.
It's dark. It's very dark. And as you noted earlier, Mike, it's got a lot of protein in it as well.
Yeah, very, got minerals and pieces in it.
I'll tell you what, I mean, I've actually, this is my second bottle. The first bottle, when I got near the bottom, I kind of disliked it a little bit. It was so grainy. So this one, every time I drink it, I kind of shake it a little bit beforehand, before I pour, just to kind of even out the distribution of the hat.
It almost reminds me of like a Blackadder raw cask.
Oh, look at those bubbles.
Oh man, I tell you what, there's so much sediment in that thing, it almost looks like a dirty creek.
Well, I mean, just look at the bubbles. I mean, I didn't shake very hard, they're still there.
Oh yeah, that's high ABV.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you what, so again, beautiful, beautiful, rich, dark, light, not quite mahogany, but very close to mahogany. All right, Dustin, let's get into this bad boy. Just so you know, when Dustin and I get together, I'm usually bringing you a Lagavulin, and Dustin's usually bringing you a Springbank. We got so many of them. Expect that going forward for quite some time.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of reviews on those two distilleries.
A lot of reviews. And not just any reviews, like
exceptional.
Good ones. Top shelf ones, if you distill a phrase.
Who would ever come up with that? That's so pretentious.
And yet so accurate.
Yeah.
All right, Dustin, what are you picking up on the nose?
It's meaty, yet like almost has a burnt oak note there with a ton of that just beautiful sherry. I'm getting a little bit of that Springbank slight barbecue note, which I haven't gotten on these single casks too much, but this one has just a hint of it.
My goodness. On top of that, there is just a sugared date on this thing.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Incredible. You ever seen Raiders of the Lost Ark?
It's been a long time.
Greatest movie ever made. Anyway, there's a scene there where the guy that has a thing of dates where the guy's trying to poison him, the monkey eats it, and that way Indiana Jones knows he can't eat the thing. If it wasn't poison, if it was just liquid sugar, I imagine that's what it tasted like, because those dates seemed delicious, ripe, fresh, full.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, yeah, there's just so much going on with the smoke and meat and char and a little bit of burn.
No, when they say fresh sherry, does this mean first fill sherry?
Not just first fill, but wet barrels. Like, so I assume this was not like they took apart the sherry cask and reconstructed it, but they took the sherry cask and they just poured the whiskey
They didn't break it down into staves.
Yeah, my understanding is fresh means wet. Because I think they will say first fill, but fresh means wet cask.
And Springbank is giving us disclosure, man.
Yeah.
They are telling us details that I want to know as a whiskey enthusiast.
Yeah.
And that is, when did you put it in a barrel? What kind of barrels did you use? When was the distillate? What's the ABV? How many bottles? Who put it into a cask? Was it Gary? Was it Sarah? I want to know those details.
Yeah.
And they give us most of them.
Yeah, they give us a lot of information. I don't know if we know if it was Gary or Sarah, but...
Are those traditional Scottish names?
I have no idea.
It doesn't sound like them. I don't know. I live here.
Are the names in Campbelltown traditional Scottish names? I don't know either.
I don't know either. They have implants, because my retirement dream is to go to Iowa and be a warehouseman at Lagavulin or Lefroy.
Yeah.
When I retire and I'm done, I don't need money anymore. I'm going to go there, accept the bad weather, just like, what, this is where I want to be. I don't even care if you pay me.
Yeah, hey guys, I mean, I can just stand out back if you need me to, but...
Yeah, that's the dream. That's the retirement dream.
It's a great dream.
Got to keep myself in good shape so I can move around wheelbarrows and that sort of thing. Pick them up.
Yeah. Good way to work out, keep healthy.
Yeah, that's the goal. Keep moving.
All right, Mike, I gotta get a taste on this thing.
All right, so on the nose, yeah, I'm getting that fresh date, sugary fresh date. But again, there's that Dunnage Warehouse. There's some of that milk chocolate right there. And that Springbank funk, which I have now pinpointed to GW Grinders toasted sourdough bread. Dustin, what do you pick on the palate?
There's so much going on here, Mike. I'm gonna have to go in for another pour before we add water just to try to put this together. But brown sugar, plums, dates, all of that. There is peat, there's sea salt. There's a sherry plum thing going on still in my mouth. I can't even come up with. There's so much oak in here. And it's like it's not over the top oak. It's like the oak's changing. There's different types of oak. I don't understand how I'm getting all this. There's the funk from Springbank, but it's done in like the sweetest, most like delicious way possible. I mean, it is just everything.
Buddy, when you brought that 18-year-old to me, what was that, port?
Yep.
I thought that was the best Springbank I ever had. Man, this one is just grapes, sweet grapes, dark grapes, figs, dates. I'm with Harrison Ford when he's making Indiana Jones, and I have that big package of dates. You're right, there's oak, chewy oak. What a great whiskey.
I'm picturing like some kind of alcohol chocolate candy thing going on here too.
Some liqueur. Something they put alcohol in, like a piece of chocolate, you know, like they molded the chocolate.
Amaretto and chocolate. And
Amaretto, that's a good one too. Di Serrano. It's almost like Di Serrano and a piece of chocolate.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much here. And yet, I mean, I'm getting there's savory notes. It's dessert forward with savory oak. There's like some kind of like reduction sauce that's heavy on like.
Almost like duck sauce.
Yeah, there's something that, 5-star, Michelin chef would put on a steak. Or,
I feel like I'm eating it per se or the French oven or something like that.
I mean,
there's some glaze that I can't quite put my finger on.
You're going to put water in this thing, Mike, because I'm just going to keep drinking until it's gone. I mean, there's just unbelievable whiskey going on right here. And the depth and complexity is, I haven't been to this bottle in a while. And I've always thought this was probably my favorite Springbank I own. And I haven't been to it in a while. Now, you had this probably about a year ago. I sent you a sample of the last bottle I had before I killed it.
Yeah, with Keith.
Yeah, so you and Keith reviewed that with a 25. At that point, I think you may have liked the 25 more, but
sure.
Again, that depends on which order you went into,
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you know how I feel about the Springbank 25.
Incredible whiskey.
Yeah, that's one of my just overall favorites. But this was always a bolder whiskey. There's no debating that whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I was impressed with it the first time I had it, but man, having it here this time. Because this is a bottle you've been very selective as far as who you've chosen to share it with.
Well, keep in mind, again, this is my second bottle of it, so that did help.
As you can see by the level. Yeah. It's so much easier when you have two bottles.
Well, once I opened the second bottle, I actually was shocked that I'm down this far, because I don't remember drinking this thing. I go to it so rarely, but when I do go to it, Mike, it's never a small pour.
No, it's liquid gold. You see how heavy I poured us.
Like the 25s, when I get those I usually pour really lightly because I just want to have a little bit. This one, I can't have a little bit. I have to have a good pour because it's such a good whiskey.
And this is one too that you pick up the sherry white ghost notes from where you actually drink it is kind of what I call it.
Yeah.
So if you get a really heavily sherried, oily cast strength.
You guys see that. It just adds some dirtiness instantly.
Yeah, you see like a white streak that goes down the side of where you actually took a drink from it. If it's a dense, oily, sherry, and it's a cast strength like it is here. Man, Dustin, an absolute stunner for a Springbank. This is right up there. If this is a regular release like the 25, I would say maybe this is the best version of Springbank I've ever had.
I would be mortified, horrified, and crying if I missed an annual release of this.
Because this is
I would want to buy it every year.
Truly special whiskey. What do you pick these up for, by the way?
Well, this was about $300.
That's a steal. That is a steal of a whiskey, man.
Yeah.
That is $300. That is $600. That is $800 all day.
I think it was $290 plus tax. Honestly, I think I got this just under $3.
Excellent buy, my friend.
Oh God, yeah, I wish I'd bought more.
When you and Keith gush over Springbank, and as other whiskey enthusiasts do, people that know whiskey gush over Springbank. I get it. I have been slower to warm up to them as some other people who are whiskey connoisseurs. I will say this though, 25, that 18-year-old port, and this one here, man, these are just apex whiskeys in any regard whatsoever.
Absolutely.
We've had some good whiskeys today, man. I mean, we've got $1,000 whiskeys today. I mean,
Yeah.
this stacks up with any of them.
Yeah.
This is absolutely fantastic A+ whiskey.
God. So water has just made this thing sweeter, more candied, Mike.
More candied.
I mean, it's just, and it's still got that plum, but there's a savory, like sweet sauce that you put on red meat, and I don't.
No, dude, it is a duck reduction sauce. I'm telling you. Being in advertising, I have to take people out
Yeah,
to
yeah.
restaurants all the time. I've eaten restaurants everywhere. Meat, you're right. Sometimes you get a bison or you get duck.
Oh, bison. There is the sweetness in bison,
Yes,
especially
yes.
a bison steak, not
Yes,
just like
yes,
your ground bison, but a
yes,
steak.
Yes.
That is dead on what I'm getting
So
here.
once you get to more exotic meats like that you usually will get at high-end restaurants because they want to overcharge you and things like that. I don't care. I'm not a company credit card. It's not like I'd spend the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if it's not me, I'll spend it. Whatever. They're huge companies. They can afford it. They write it off. It's all about taxes.
This is legitimately. It's bison. That's that sweet note in bison with sherry.
This is some
enhancing
type
it.
of glaze that you would get at Per Se right there in Manhattan, in New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Actually, you don't know what I mean, but trust me, if you ever eat there, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Been to Manhattan a few times. I've not been to Per Se, but I understand. Like again, this is 5-star chef glaze for like a bison or a.
Yeah, like a duck or just some
And
goose.
it's
that's
the
been
sauce
exotic.
that's been like the juice of that meat is in there. It's there. Oh God.
This is something someone wins an award for. My goodness. We were talking earlier about that Weller and just won some award in San Francisco. Man, if anyone drank this whiskey compared to other whiskeys and you didn't give this, the highest score, I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life?
You better be drinking some Brewers.
Buddy, I've had roars. 38, 35, 30. I've had Port Ellens. Man, this is a bomb of a whiskey.
Yeah. So Mike Waters added a little more salt. The finish is a little bit a little sharper, but it's all the same. Beautiful, just gorgeous whiskey. I'd probably leave it without the water. I thought there was a little more to it, but God, I mean, this is.
It's
just-
simplified it on the palate. I'd prefer it without water.
Yeah, there's a few less notes here,
But the nose was more sugary and candied with water.
I think I like the meatiness of the first note. You know what? Who cares? I'll drink this either way.
Whatever. I don't want to report this before we go out to lunch. Dustin,
We can definitely drink another one of these. I think we got to drink something first before it, just to like reset.
remember what something that isn't perfect is. So where are you at as far as the whiskey score on this?
Mike, the highest score I've given on anything on this channel is a 94.
Correct.
And
You just gave Lagavulin 25 and 94.
yeah,
Where you at?
I am struggling to give this a 93 because it is better than anything I think I've given a 93. I don't think this is as good as the Lagavulin 25. I don't think it's as good as Lagavulin 24,
Agreed.
but I'm going to still give it a 94 because it needs to be in that echelon of whiskeys.
Yeah, this
But
is
if you're going to do your 0.75s and stuff, I'd probably put this just under a 94. But
Oh, you gonna mock me now?
no, I'm not. I'm just saying I'd prefer not going in that direction when I'm not. I'm going 94 here. I'm not wavering, but it's usually I'm okay with the half points. I don't like going 0.75. But if I was, that's probably closer where this would land.
Okay, you see this. I'm at 93.25. I'm at 93 and 3/8. Yeah, so I can't quite bring myself to bring this to a 94, and I don't know why, because it has everything that, there's nothing about this that isn't epic.
Yeah.
From the nose, mouthfeel, palate, finish, the look of it. You know what I mean? This is Lagavulin 25. What do you think?
This is better nose.
This is a fantastic nose, man, especially with water. Buddy, I know, trust me.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, this is actually.
It's a 93 plus. Let me say that.
Yeah, 94. I am comfortable with the 94.
My man.
That is Lagavulin 25.
I can smell Lagavulin from here.
I'm drinking coming right off my breath right now. It's delicious. I don't know how they managed a 19-year-old to be this good, except the fact, again, it's a single cask. And if you,
120 bottles, Dustin.
and you watch Mike and Narvi, And they'll often talk about some of the most epic whiskeys they've ever had, like 15-year-old single casks
Sure.
that were picked by, so-and-so. Sometimes even they were Springbanks. Much older bottlings, but still.
Yeah.
This bottle remains in my absolute apex as one of my favorite whiskeys. I have shared it with you, shared it with Keith, both of you separately and together.
Yeah.
And
It's one of those you need to really respect someone's whiskey opinion to even share it with them.
And I'll be honest with you, Mike. I think this bottle is never going to be drank by me again when I'm not with somebody I'm sharing it with, because that's how good it is. I want this to last.
It is a dynamite whiskey, man.
I mean, it was 4 years ago, I think, when I bought my first one of these. Okay.
You know, I thought the 18 port was the best Springbank I ever had. Now, I remember having this before because you were kind enough to send me samples. But now having it again in such a close proximity of the 18, because it was, what was that, 6 weeks ago, roughly? Yeah. Or so. This is a better whiskey.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, and there's a reason I bought two of these, and I only bought one of the port. Now, part of that was because the port sold out before I could buy a second, but I could have bought the port when I bought the second of this, and I was trying to be fiscally responsible. That was a stupid time in my life, Mike. I've grown past it. I now know, just buy.
Yeah, buddy, let me tell you something. The fact that you've done 100 or so whiskey reviews with me, it took you this long to bring this over here.
Tells you how much I like this whiskey and
I
didn't want to share it.
I get it, buddy. I get it. Yeah, I dare I say I probably would prefer this over the 25, and that's a strong statement.
I have no question. I think I gave the 25, the highest review I think I gave the 25 was a 92. This is, to me, 2 points better. It is significantly better. First off, the mouthfeel on this thing is just epic.
Epic. Not even good, not great. Epic.
Yeah. And then the nose on this thing, every time I go back.
A little something extra. A little something extra.
I think the 25's got a slightly better nose. The 2016 does.
This is what comes back to ABV and cask maturation. The 25 is a little bit different all the time, but it's 46% ABV. You know what I mean? Which knocks it down a tad. And they never got to the point where, with this one, this is, in my opinion, obviously a single cask.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because with the 25, they have the advantage of they get to blend, try to find the best profile.
Bring it down to 46%, things of that nature. Keep it in the wheelhouse of what they want, which is
but
fantastic.
Again, Springbank's very open with, we'll just throw out something crazy different. But what allows them to do that, though, is that they get to look for the best. This just was a cask that was just so good. It was.
Where someone said
it was too good to just pour it into
whatever
a cask.
Or let it go to 20 or 21 years old. 19 is an odd age statement. Ardbeg did a 19 a couple times the last few years. But for someone to say, you know what, not 19, 20, because as you and I have both said, old whiskey is what? 20-plus-year-old whiskey.
Yeah.
Right?
Generally speaking, for most distillers, it's 21-year-old whiskey.
For them to say, this is just 1 month over 19 years old, this is the time for it. Someone, again, some genius.
Yeah.
Sampled this cask and said to themselves, oh, now.
Yeah. And whoever did that, you let us know. Comment down below. We owe you a sample of something. I definitely think this is in my top 10. No question.
How impressed I am with this. I'm not someone who gushes over Springbank the way the rest of you guys do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's why I like getting your thoughts on these as I bring them over, because we've got more single cast Springbanks coming. I don't think any of them are coming close to this one.
We got plenty.
But we got plenty of that. But the point is, this was one I was like, if Mike is not impressed, he's just not going to be impressed by Springbank.
Well, fortunately, that is not a road we have to go down, because this is a stunner. And I appreciate you guys tuning in, seeing what we thought about the whiskey. If you're able to get your hands on one of this, that was my bottle. And I'm not happy about it, but send me a sample if you can. Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy drinking.
We'll see you then.